The All Black podcast is powered by our official cloud software partner, SAP, helping our teams in black become the best run teams in sport. To listen to this episode and all the All Black podcasts, subscribe on Apple, Spotify, and anywhere you get your podcasts. This is the All Blacks podcast.
Kia ora whanau, welcome to the All Black podcast powered by SAP. The HSBC World Sevens series is at the business end of the circuit now. It's a revamped series, new destinations, new structure, some promotion, relegation, and the game continues to grow at speed. You don't have to tune in to one of the tournaments to see how the standard is improving across all the teams. To discuss the Black Ferns Sevens and the HSBC World Sevens series are some of our most experienced players these days in the squad. Welcome to the pod, Stacey Waaka, Theresa Setefano, and Michaela Blyde. Welcome, your experienced players. What are we laughing for?
I'm glad
you guys are
very
veterans
experienced.
these days,
Just to know I'm the youngest one here. So
also to note we're all the same age, actually.
no,
babies.
you're all 29.
I'm glad you said experience and not old. So I like that.
Doesn't that mean you get to
Old.
Yeah.
Nicer way.
No, look, I'm just reading the bios online, some of the more experienced players, mean in a really positive way. But firstly guys, what'd you get up to last weekend? Much happen?
Yeah, Michaela, what happened? We played the final,
You know what? We just travelled to Hong Kong and we played some footy and we won.
Got the job done.
Got the job done and we came home. It was great. Yeah.
It's amazing, isn't it, to think that, wasn't that long ago, you're in a completely another country playing some pretty serious code. But, how good? The reason I bring up that one is obviously got the double as well. So good to see first place across both teams. And as I was saying to you guys before, in some regards, it feels a little bit sometimes like Sevens is a bit of an away game. You guys are always away. You see some games, you see some highlights, you see how things go, but Hong Kong's great viewing time. Some of the main games are on in the evening, and it's just that traditional Sevens tournament that's been around for ages, and I'm sure for you guys it's got to be one of the special ones, and to get the W there must have been awesome.
Yeah, hard out. It was pretty special only because we've only played there twice and we've won both times, so pretty stoked with that one. Obviously the last one in a massive iconic stadium, but in terms of games, it was a bit of a interesting one because we actually lost one of our pool games against France, and it meant we crossed over with Aussie in the semi-final. But we did need to get them on points, so I'm stoked we managed to beat them and now top of the ladder.
But that's a reflection of the series at the moment, isn't it? If you do drop a pool game, you can still get the job done, and it also shows it's competitive, eh? You and Aussie are at the top of the table at the moment. You've got a great rivalry, but some of these other teams are getting stronger and stronger week in, week out. Every time you tune in and watch it across the men's and the women's, you look across to the men's and Ireland are doing really well. Argentina are super strong at the moment. 4, 5, 6 years ago, that wasn't the case. So it's probably, for you guys, I'm sure once you drop that pool game, you didn't think it was all over. You just roll up the sleeves, a little bit of a punch in the nose and job's back on, was it?
Yeah, it was definitely a blessing in disguise. I think kind of like what Stacey said, it meant that we got to experience that loss, which is always good for growth in the team. Not great at the time, but and then it also meant that we got to play Australia in the semi-final, and to our advantage it meant that we ended up with more points than them, which was pretty cool for us. And yeah, the World Series, all the other countries are getting a lot better, and so the game's a lot more competitive, it's a lot more exciting. We go into every game with the intention that the other team's going to bring it, so if we don't show up then we might lose.
So good. And I look on the telly when I was watching it, it's a tournament I've been to, so there's some good memories there. It's a tournament I grew up watching on the TV. Some of our biggest names in Sevens like Jonah and Christian Cullen cut their teeth in that tournament. It's almost where we first found out about them. It's where they exploded onto the scene. But it still looks like an awesome atmosphere. It still looks like just how I remember it, really, to be honest. But do you feel that as a player? Is it something? You go to a number of tournaments now, but is it a little step up? It's a special one on the calendar. Do you notice that as a player?
Yeah, I mean, for most of the girls in our team, they probably didn't grow up watching Hong Kong Sevens because they're too young. But for some of us experienced girls, we'd wake up, you know, get ready for school, and we'd hear that the All Black Sevens had won Hong Kong, or they'd lost the final against Fiji. And so, yeah, it is a very iconic tournament that we followed for a long time. And to be able to play in that stadium, like, to be honest, you can't really understand how it feels until you're actually in the middle of the field and you hear nothing but the crowd. You can't hear your teammate, you can't hear the coaches, you can barely hear the ref. The crowd is just absolutely insane. And that's the thing about Sevens, like, it's the atmosphere that lifts the game up, and having a whole stand full of costumes and drinks just going insane. Like, that's the whole, that's the, yeah, exactly. That's the whole theme of Sevens. It's a massive party, and, you know, if 85% of the people are watching and the other 15 are having a good time, that's great. So that's what we want to hear, and that's what we want to see. So, yeah, to get the double in Hong Kong, especially in that stadium, which is the last time that stadium will be standing. It's going to be rebuilt for next year. So yeah, it was an honour to leave that stadium with some pretty cool memories. Mm-hmm.
And it's all going Sevens, and Tanika experienced that, didn't she, when they tried to cross to her for some, you know, in-game expert commentary.
It was so mean.
And all I got was a bit of
who wants to
screaming
get interviewed
and,
against Australia?
And sort of a combination. There could be something in that, like sort of a combination between the fan commentator, maybe. I don't know. There could be a little third camera, like she. Yeah. That was very genuine. She was just pumped up and excited, and happened to have a microphone at the time. But I'm sure the girls have had a bit of a laugh.
It was a great watch. It was.
Look, let's talk a little bit, just a few warm-up questions, but have you guys got some favourite players when you were growing up? Talked a little bit about maybe some of the footy we saw when we were young, but there's some people in particular that you remember thinking, oh yeah, I really like the way they play footy, or you know, was influential in you getting into the game. Theresa first.
I think I'm trying to think. I think for me, well, I'm from Auckland. So from the 09, and I guess I watched a lot of rugby when I was a kid, and so Carlos Spencer was one of the, I guess, players I looked up to. And then a little bit older, I started playing in Ma'anunu, the way he played in the midfield and how he ran with the ball, and defensively he was awesome too. And so I guess he's probably one of the players that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I guess rugby's been in my family since a long time ago.
Mum was a Black Fern, is that
Mum was
right?
a Black Fern, yeah. So
was she a speedy winger as well? Or
she was a centre. She was a hearty centre, yeah. Yeah, you won't see me doing that these days, but...
Was she more of a knock it in, take crash ball rather
yeah,
than...
she just would run it straight. Yeah, she loved tackling as well.
Well,
so
you
no,
don't
she
mind
was...
contact. You don't mind contact.
I don't mind it, no, but usually when you're on the wing, I'd make maybe 4 tackles a tournament, so I haven't taken up those turns. Yeah. But no, Mum was definitely someone that I looked up to, not necessarily because she was a Black Fern, but because she represented her country in sport. And so I've always been a sporty kid, and I wanted to be just like my mum and play sport for New Zealand, and whatever sport that was that I was going to fall into, I was happy with, and it just happened to be Sevens, so that was quite a coincidental thing to do. But no, Mum definitely, again, like I grew up watching the All Blacks. Like, I loved Doug Heller, I loved Joe Rokocoko. Like, watching them on the wing was epic. But coming into women's rugby, Mum played with Anna Richards, who is obviously a legend of this game, so I knew her name. But I didn't really look up to women rugby players until I met people like Sarah, Portia, Ruby. You know, to me, they epitomise what it meant to be proud women rugby players, especially back in the day when we were not supported. So, yeah, they're just extremely... honourable people that everyone can look up to. They're just incredible. Absolutely, yeah. They started the legacy. So yeah.
I mean, do you know, to throw a question there amongst that, do you guys think about that now as well? Because obviously you guys were both involved in the World Cup that we had at home. You know, I went to a number of those games, and the whole, you know, you've got to be able to see it to be it. Like, and the point you made is we didn't see a lot of it when you were young. You know, I sort of knew Anna Richards a little bit, knew a couple of the players, you know, Mel Robinson, but you didn't see them play a lot. You know, there weren't many games for a start, and they weren't always on TV. But like, do you guys think about that a little bit now? That like, it's pretty cool that we've got a bunch of young girls throughout the country who are seeing it. You know, they're seeing you guys out there having a crack, and sometimes there's 40,000 people in the stadium and you're playing in a World Cup final. Like that's pretty cool, isn't it?
Yeah, I think the pathway now for female rugby players, it's massive. I'm going to be honest, I had no idea who the Black Ferns were until I was maybe 15, 14 years old.
Yeah. I
obviously played touch and netball, but to see the growth and the amount of teams you can play for in school now, you know, world schools, you've got so many age groups, and for us it was just straight into women's rugby. Like, you go to high school, you play for the one team, and then you get picked for New Zealand. It's definitely not like that anymore. So it's cool. It is cool that we are, I suppose, role models for the younger kids these days, and to have a space where we can use our platform to not just showcase, obviously, rugby, but women's sport, female sport in New Zealand, all around the world. I think it's quite special for us as players.
How good. There's everyone, male, female, doesn't matter your age, sometimes you have some people who really influence you, you know, in your sporting journey. Is there some people who spring to mind who have been really helped you along the way and really been influential on where you are today, sitting around here talking to me?
Yeah, so I think, well, I owe a lot to my parents. They took me here, there and everywhere growing up as a kid, me and my older sister. So I guess she's probably one of my influences too. My older sister, who went the netball pathway, she got the height. I didn't really get the height. It's okay. And so my parents, my sister Sulu, she went into the professional sport area when her last year of school, and so I guess I was lucky that I got to see what it took to be in this space, or the highs and lows that come with it, or the pressures that come with it, and then just to watch her journey. And so she fully understands what it's like to be in this environment too, and so we have some pretty cool conversations, and she helps me. I try and help her in any way I can. Not really. But yeah, definitely my family.
Awesome.
Yeah, I mean, definitely mum and dad as well, but to go away from that, the next person for me would be Sarah. I've been in the squad since I was 16, and so I was literally a child just learning about a new sport, and from the very first camp in Waiouru in July 2012, she was the most...
experienced.
I am experienced, yes, far more experienced than these two. She was by far the most approachable person at that camp, and seeing her actually from, I think she would have been 19 or 20 at that time, seeing her grow into the leader that she is today is very special. You know, she's gone through some incredibly hard adversities that a lot of people would have just thrown the towel in. So to see her be who she is today is extremely amazing. So yeah, she's definitely someone that made me want to be a better rugby player. And she didn't have to do a lot. She just had to, you know, through her actions, she's just done a lot of work for women's rugby. So yeah, she's definitely someone that I look up to and say, because of you, I've wanted to be the rugby player that I am today.
Fingers crossed, that she can keep recovering and be in the mix.
Absolutely, yeah, no, she's tracking really well, and I mean, we all know Sarah. No matter what kind of injury she's got, she's the stubborn person that will beat the odds and define science and just say, nah, that's wrong, I'm going to do better.
Giving up's not in her DNA,
absolutely, that's a farmer's thing. It's a farmer's thing, eh, girls?
Oh, it's a farmer's thing.
It's a good point you make around, you know, she was one of the first to come into this semi-professional, then professional environment, and there was no way to do it. You know, like it wasn't perhaps as structured as what it is now. You know, that initial campaign grabbed a whole lot of girls throughout the country who didn't necessarily have a rugby background, and some people like Sarah just grabbed it and ran with it, and they've made the plan, they've made the template, you know, like she's still got much more to offer, but she's been an absolute trailblazer in this space, hasn't she? So fingers crossed she gets back in the mix. What about you, Stace?
Yeah, trying to have a think here. Obviously, like, these two family are massive, but if I had to go away from that, it's probably Honey, Here Me Smala. Yeah. For many reasons. Obviously, one of the old girls in the team when she first made it into Sevens. She's played league, she's played 15 Sevens, touch, she's done it all.
Great commentator these days.
She's a great commentator, trailblazer.
Like yourself, Stace, trailblazer, yeah.
She's done so much for the game, and she continues. And the one thing, or two things, I suppose, that kind of helped me with my transition is one, she took me under her wing when I moved to Waikato after school, and I spent a whole summer with her training, trying my hardest to get into the New Zealand Sevens team. So I credit her a lot as to how I made it and why I made it. And the other thing is her passion for kids and sport in general, and especially those with disabilities. She's worked with that for quite a chunk of her life, and she juggled that playing professional sport, and she still has a massive passion for that. So I think it's cool. It just epitomises her selflessness and her want to help others. It's massive, and so that drives me.
She's a gun. She's a gun. I see she's an ambassador for the Rainbow Games as well, which she's pushing at the moment. So she just wants as many people to be involved in sports in any way, shape or form, doesn't she? Which is awesome. Look, guys, you are experienced, as we've discussed already. So when it comes to women's rugby, you've actually played a lot. You've played with and against some great players. Does any spring to mind as the best that you've played with or against? Because it's actually now, we've got sevens, we've got 15s, we've got domestic, we've got international. Like there's been some games. I don't know if you guys ever take the time to stop and reflect and have a look back, or whether it's just boxing on to the next thing and the next tournament and the next thing, because it's all go.
Don't really want to pump up the tyres of our teammates right now, do we?
Haven't got big enough heads.
We just have to go there. Obviously, Push, massive icon, strikers over here. She's been massive for the women's game for so many years, and it's real funny, because she thinks she's still learning, or she still thinks she's new. I'm like, no, you're not. You're definitely the old experienced girl.
More experienced than us.
So she's massive. Anything she does, she's just explosive, powerful, fast, everything you could think of in her.
Yeah. She's sort of like, you can hear her on the TV when she gets the ball, there's a little bit of elevation in the crowd, like just there's a little bit of excitement, and you know, she's sort of one of those players in the female game that has that, isn't it? Because she's been around and been doing it for so long. It's pretty cool to hear you say too that she's sort of has that growth mindset. That seems to be a real trend with good players. It doesn't, until they day they hang up the boots, they're just still trying to find ways to be better, aren't they? Like, which is awesome. Anyone else spring to mind, girls?
Checking out there.
I used to get really nervous coming up against Kayla Aki or Kayla McAllister, like especially at
Hot
nationals, or just like angry, like just naturally angry, like just even her personality was angry, and so she just was someone on the field that whenever she touched the ball, like Portia, something would happen, and so the Kayla Portia combo was just lethal. But yeah, whether it was defence or attack, like she was just someone that I guess a similar person would be like Linda Aitonu. She was the same, like she would hurt you even just from fending you in the face, you know. So yeah, she was definitely someone that I got really, really nervous coming up against, because 9 times out of 10 I had to mark her.
Yeah.
So yeah, I hated trying to tackle her because she was so hard to tackle. But yeah, she's someone who made a massive difference to this game as well.
Yeah, I think kind of like Minnie mentioned Bindi, so Linda, I actually met her in 15s and when I played club rugby. So I got the introduction to those shoulders back in Ponsonby rugby days, and where there's absolutely no mercy. You just got to be prepared.
No thanks.
If it's scrag, it's not scrag. So I was lucky enough to play with Linda and Fiorto in club and regional rugby, and so it was pretty cool getting to learn what the game was like when they came through, and so it really opened my eyes to how lucky we are now. So they paved the way, they allowed us to be in this space now, and they played rugby pure passion. So
game stuff.
Yeah, really look up to them. Probably can't make big hits like them, but
oh no, but see, I've seen your tackles. I've seen your shoulders.
So,
some of those ones in the World Cup look pretty solid to me.
Yeah,
pretty solid.
Yeah, so they're probably a couple of players I look up to.
I like it. Rightio girls, if we weren't sitting around the table talking pro footy, which is what you guys are these days, pro footy players, you know, what do you think you'd be doing?
I don't know, Stacey, which team would you be suddenly loyal to? There's about 10 in my mind that you've just ditched us for, so
for those
rattle
who don't
them off.
know, Minnie is very loyal to Sevens, but
Always.
obviously me and Theresa play 15s too, and dabble in other things. But if we had to go away from sport, I reckon I'd be a pretty good lawyer. Like, I'm pretty good at arguing and getting my point across.
Yeah.
You know, really fighting for the right things.
The verbal battle.
Give me a
I can see
lawyer
that
job.
actually. I'd call you.
Yeah, I like that.
Make some moo, love you.
Of course.
Good cash.
No, it's for the love and passion. Love and passion. I would be a police officer. If I didn't have this crazy dream of wanting to go to the Olympic Games, I wanted to be a cop straight after school, but I couldn't pursue that career without having to put rugby to the side. And rugby, or sevens, was just starting to kind of peak a little bit when I was about 18 years old, 18, 19. So I decided to just put all my eggs in one basket and thought, no, I'll hold that off for a little bit and just see where this rugby takes me. And ended up being the right decision, I guess you could say.
Dog handle, eh?
Dog handle. It'd be me and my dog just like going through the bush and chasing bad guys. So
I would like nothing better to see some shoplifter coming out of a new world in the mountains and Minnie just go.
I've done a couple ride-alongs in Tauranga and it is insane. Like, we were running through the bush and threw the dog over the fence, and it was so cool. It was so cool. So I loved it. I'd love to just chase someone. Like, if they looked at me and be like, oh, you're just a little girl, I'd be like, oh yeah, wait till I stretch my quads, then I've got you.
They'll turn around and she's stretching legs.
I'm rolling, doing some mobility.
Here we go. It's on. What about you, Theresa? What do you reckon?
For me, before I came into this team, I was studying medicine, so probably something to do with health. I don't know if it would be a doctor or just working in the community, health community.
Awesome.
She's smart. She's the smart
Very
one who's
smart.
been studying for a long
She's got
time.
the big old brain, eh?
She's got the brain.
She's got the brains.
Dr. Setefano.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah. All right, guys. We're hosting a dinner party. We're inviting anyone we want, and we're looking to impress. So, what's on the menu, and who might you be inviting along?
Oh, that is a hard one. What's on the menu? We love food in general. We love everything.
Yeah.
I think on Michaela's menu is McDonald's.
Hey, KFC, thank you. Get it right.
Is that the go-to treat?
It's the go-to, yeah. No, but if I had to impress people, I'd get my mum and I'd get her to cook her absolute amazing roast lamb with vegetable, like just classic Kiwi. You don't want to fancy it up too much because then people are like, what does that look like? But roast lamb, roast potatoes, broccoli, carrots, gravy. You know what? Chuck some cheese sauce on top of that too.
Sure.
Yeah. Simple.
Do what
Done.
you know. Do it well.
Do it well.
Yeah.
I hate cooking. I'd make everyone bring a plate. No jokes.
Potluck.
I'd get my mum too because she loves cooking. But probably, I don't know, a mix. I'd go a mix of everything.
Yeah.
Like get some Māori food in there, some Samoan food, some traditional, just lamb. Oh, roast lamb, definitely.
Variety. I like it.
Got to be variety, like everything and anything, because you just got to have a little dabble in lots of different things.
Sure.
Yeah, I think I'm like Stace too. Barbecue. So hopefully the weather's nice at this dinner.
Good old barbecue.
Good day for a commercial day today.
Today. And definitely some island food. So
bring it home.
Bring it home. So my mum will definitely be there, my aunties.
Your wedding food was just amazing, by the way. Just what food you had at your wedding, just bring that. Yeah.
And anyone in particular, bring anyone out there that would just fascinates you, that you'd love to be able to, once you got over the fact they're at your dinner party. Beyonce. Oh, heck, God, that is big. That's probably the
straight Beyonce.
Of all the times I've asked that question, I reckon that's the biggest name that's come out. I reckon.
Queen Bee went to a concert last year. It was literally just by the stage.
And she does country now as well, so happy days.
I'd have it there. Try some Māori food, sis.
How good.
Oh, I don't know. Do they have to be alive?
No, not at all.
I'd invite the Queen.
Oh, how good.
And just be like, sis.
She's seen some stuff.
Yeah, you've seen some stuff.
Wars.
You've been the longest reigning royal person. Like, what's it like? What's it like having to get your, like, the footsteps behind you swept, you know, because you're just such an absolute iconic person. But yeah, she would be someone that I would sit there for hours. And she reminds me of my nana. Like, I mean, she reminds me of most old ladies, but, you know, just sit there and chat and chat and chat. So, yeah.
You want the chat, I want the serenade, you know.
Fair. I'm sure the Queen can do that too. She's the Queen. So.
She'd have huge yarns though. She'd have all sorts of oil on big names as well, like leaders, you know, like prime ministers and all this sort of stuff.
She'd have the goss.
World War.
She'd have the goss.
Spill the tea.
Spill the tea. Spill the tea.
Absolutely. That good.
For me, I think I would invite, well, two of my grandparents so my mum's dad, my granddad, and then my dad's mum, who I actually didn't meet and I'm named after, and so just to meet them and I guess...
Good use of the question. Great use of the question. Best I've seen probably
Classic
so far.
us. Just famous people. Yeah, nice Fitzy. Yeah.
All right, couple of things. You go where you want with this, girls. You know, you can throw people under the bus or not. You know, you've been quite complimentary of other people. Maybe this is a window. You know, remember we can edit this if you know if there's any regrets. But like, you know, if the team manager slides the piece of paper across the table and says, you know, who do you want to room with and who you do not want to room with? Anonymous piece of paper. No one's going to know. You know, who you're writing down and sliding across.
Everyone wants to be my roomie, always. Niall knows. No. She used to write my name on the paper.
On the do not.
Well, some people sleep in, some people don't.
Well, that's it.
And that's, yeah, she loves sleeping. That's quite key to like your routine in the morning. So, sorry, Minnie, you're off my list. You sleep too much.
It's fine. I don't want to room with you anyway.
Maybe like Georgia, because she's too much energy.
She's all go.
I've roomed with her and she snores. Yeah, she's a snorer.
Yeah. Oh, Lena too. Sorry, Len. Love you, sis.
Yeah, can't do snorers.
Take you off the list.
The snorers know. They know they're snorers. Like, we're not uncovering anything. You know,
they are just ridiculous.
For light sleepers.
And sometimes it's the poor old, you know, props and locks who get, you know, earmarked as snorers, but actually there's rogue snorers out there, isn't there? Like there's people you just wouldn't suspect and they just go for it.
And one of them is Georgia Miller.
Youngster.
Oh,
I like
who
it.
wouldn't I love everyone. I mean, I'm kind of like on the same level as Stace. Like when people just recently roomed with Fitzy in Hong Kong, and I love you to bits, sis, but early riser. Early bird gets the worm, but the sleeper gets, you know, more sleep. So we're, you know, more awake. I don't know. But, definitely someone who loves to sleep in, who doesn't want to set their alarm for 6 a.m.
Tyler.
Tyler's a sleeper inner like me. Who wouldn't I room with, though? Like, absolutely couldn't, just absolute no-no. Sheree.
Yeah.
Sorry, Sheree.
Is that from a bad experience, or is that just from what you've heard around the
No,
traps?
it's bands. It's just straight bands.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, she's just...
Yeah.
She's got good chat, but yeah, she...
And you got to do
just
TikToks,
bands.
eh?
Oh, yeah, and she'd constantly ask for me to feature in her TikToks. And she would constantly ask for me to feature in her videos, so...
Yeah.
Just a little personal space, you know?
Yeah, sure. No, these are important touring aspects, aren't they?
Mine's pretty black, like Minnie said. I like to wake up early, and so most of the mornings in Hong Kong I had to try and sneak out while Minnie was, and it probably didn't help that the room was very interesting in our hotel. It was open planning, including the bathroom.
Oh, so you can't even go have a shower or something like with...
Not in
there was
peace,
a sliding door for the whole bathroom, which I don't quite understand. So anyone that wakes up early, there's probably a handful of girls in the team. So it was always me, Nix, Tysh, Portia,
Cool.
Gossie.
The early risers.
The early risers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nice.
and who wouldn't I? well, the girls who sleep.
So me, that's fine, sis. It's
Just
okay.
for that reason.
I don't take it too
I got
offense.
a name. I'm going to say Kelly because she doesn't actually really like breakfast, and we love breakfast.
Yes.
And you got to go eat and like get up.
Doesn't want the most
Yes.
important meal of the
I
day.
know,
She doesn't want
that's
to get
just,
up.
she's not, she's getting better,
Yeah.
hey, but
Yeah,
she don't
she-
like breakfast. So I'm like, I don't want to go breakfast by myself.
She's probably the worst, like, she's probably the most unhealthiest professional athlete in the world, but is the freakish, like, she just would casually go for a marathon run, you know?
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
she's
yeah.
just so fit.
Yeah.
But she doesn't like water, she'd prefer to have Coke, she doesn't eat breakfast, and she doesn't eat her vegetables. It just makes no sense. It makes no whatsoever.
You got to tell the new girls that come in if they room with Kelly.
Yeah.
Don't follow her.
This is not the way. This is not
She's
the
an
way.
outlier.
She's
Tell
out the box.
us, tell
She's
us
out
when
the
you want to
box.
go to breakfast, because don't wait.
Yeah, yeah.
Don't wait or else you won't eat.
Look, tell us a little bit about your early days. Like, it's always a bit different because even as we've talked to a little bit, everyone comes into the game at different times in different ways, particularly with the female game. Like, you know, why did you guys get into rugby? What did your journey look like? Was it from day dot, or you know, was there a couple of crossroads along the way where you could have gone in any sort of direction? You know.
For me, I started my contact sport. I started with was league, so I actually played league when I was 5 years old for Richmond Rovers, and I played that for 5 years. So I went
Was
there.
it the family? It was
Yeah, it
like
was
the
the
down there, so just follow.
Yes, I followed all my cousins there, just got to play, and with league you go straight into tackle, which was pretty cool too, so it wasn't a ripper. I think
Was
it's
it
because
a
he's
girls
less
team, mixed team in the early days?
played
or?
with the boys,
Yeah. I
moved
could see
to
you cutting some
Ponsonby.
boys in half.
Moved to Ponsonby Rugby, and then I went through high school. I played netball because my school didn't have a rugby team, so I guess that was the other pathway I could have gone. But thankfully, I went back to rugby after school and played Ponsonby, played for the Storm. I started in 15s, and then the Go for Gold program came up, and Sevens got introduced into the Olympics, and so I thought, you know, that would be pretty awesome going to the Olympics. Never actually thought that I would even have that opportunity coming from team sports.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's kind of where my journey started in sport. That's how I got
Talk a little bit about that Go for Gold campaign. Like that's pretty cool. Like it feels so much in the rearview mirror these days. But like, you know, there was a time not that long ago where there's a campaign, you know, went throughout the country, you know, like trying to find players to go to the Olympics. Like that's pretty cool, isn't it? And you've got people who probably had some rugby experience, maybe some touch, but like you say, netball players. Like it's pretty cool to think, isn't it? Like how far it's all come since those days. Like even some of our most well-known players these days, like Gossie, weren't necessarily, you know, born up on a diet of rugby. You know, like came to it and paved the way. So can you remember all those years ago and what it all looked
So
like?
back in the
Back in 1975.
No, I thought it was a pretty awesome campaign in Auckland. So Portia was actually the one who told me about it. I used to play netball with her.
Because Portia was a netball player as well, wasn't she?
Portia
Like
was a
the
netball
start,
player.
yeah.
Well, she actually played alongside my sister because she's a little bit older than me.
Just a little bit.
But yeah, the likes of a massive group of girls, Michaela, one of them, all came through that Go for Gold program. I think New Zealand was just looking for athletes, and well, they definitely found
Some good ones.
I think so. The Ruby, Kayla, Portia, Gossie, Carla, Niall. Niall came a few years
Come
after. She came from touch.
Minnie actually, she got picked from like the Go for Gold, whereas me and Theresa took a few years later, so she's the golden one here.
They saw more talent in her. So.
We
I'll just pick the
years
smaller
later.
one.
We stuck with 15
Had to be
for a little
diverse.
bit. We needed to run a little bit more, Stacey?
Yeah. We're a little bit chubbier. We didn't really
the end. Yeah.
She already had the health and the fitness and the mentality to be in the program. It was a good program, but yeah. I'll take that. You went through the program.
I did go through the program, yeah. It was borderline traumatising, but I met...
Why was it borderline?
Well, the very first camp in Wairau, which is out, where the army people go, it was epic. Like, we did...
How many girls there? How many girls at a camp?
There would have been, I want to say maybe 30 odd.
Yeah.
And I was the youngest one there.
16?
Yeah, I was 16. So Gail would have been, but she wasn't allowed to go to those camps because she had to be 16. And so she was 15, Gail Broughton I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And so there was myself and Lauren Burgess from the Naki. And yeah, oh my God, like the first 2 days were fine. Like we got to meet everyone and you kind of got to see like the different people that you had. So obviously met the coaches, manager, nutritionist, doctor, all of that. But then the very last day we played against each other and it was freezing cold. I'm pretty sure it snowed. And I couldn't tell you what else we did, but I was so excited to see my mum when she picked us up because I wanted to go home so bad. Yeah. There was this one moment that I'll never forget. We were doing just a real classic drill, two of us holding a tackle shield and then someone coming, like doing a classic ball carry drill. And Ruby Tui, she, back then, this was when the OG red strip was going on. She's kind of brought it back again, but she had the ball in her hand and she was doing her classic, like, into the tackle shield, and she bowled into just me because the other person holding the tackle shield was Lauren Burgess, who's 6 foot, 90 kilos, just pure muscle. So, of course, she was going to run into the 60-kilo white girl, and she just went bomb fire, and I just fell on my booty behind, like a metre that way, and Sean yelled at me and was like, "Come on, Michaela, you're better than this." And I was like, "I've never held one of these before," but I'm like crying and I'm just like, "I want to go home, like, I don't want to do this anymore." And so thank you, Ruby, for toughening me up, because yeah, I'll never forget that. But it was definitely, those camps were definitely more so around making females, girls, myself, who was a girl, to understand the brutal mentality of rugby, because a lot of 15s and Black Ferns players knew it, but Sevens was a whole different kind of sport, whole different kind of playing board. So getting us into the mentality that we needed to be tough, fit, fast and strong to be the best in the world at this game. Yeah.
Minnie actually had that at home. She had some. You want to tell us about your athletics and how things were?
Look, I just want to reiterate, this podcast is called the All Blacks podcast, not Michaela Blyde podcast.
So
questions. But we're pulling the curtain back. We're getting to know our players.
Getting to know Michaela.
We want to know more about you, know?
Yeah, I did athletics. Athletics was my first sporting love at the age of 5, but I also played rugby at 5, but back then it wasn't ripper, it was two-handed touch on the hips. And so played rugby, touch rugby from 5 to 7. And then, because it was mixed as well, boys and girls, I had to go to tackle rugby for 8th grade. And at this point, I was just way too scared. I was like, there's no way I was so tiny. So I went and played soccer. And I absolutely loved it. Like, it was definitely the first sport where I was like, yeah, I'm going to go to the Olympic Games for this sport. It didn't happen. But yeah, I came back to rugby when the Go for Gold campaign started in 2012, because I was like, why not? Yeah.
What was, when you were doing athletics, 100 metres, 400
yeah,
metres?
100, 200, dabbled in long jump a little bit.
Yep.
So I did all of the Colgate Games. For all those legendary kids out there that know what Colgate Games are, they'll know what I'm talking about. Did the nationals, did secondary school nationals. I think the highest that I just represented Taranaki in nationals and that, so I never represented my country, but yeah, it was, athletics is a very tough sport if you are mentally strong enough to handle it, and so I envy Zoe Hobbs because it's so lonely. It is so lonely.
That single discipline individual stuff is brutal.
Absolutely, because when it comes to rugby, we have, if you're on the field, you've got 6 others around you that have incredible strengths. You know, I rely on Stacey to strike on one edge for me to be able to strike on the other. I rely on Fitzy's pass. Whereas in athletics, if you are a sprinter, it is purely just you. And you can't rely on anyone else to do things for you to make you better. So it is a very tough sport to be professional in, so shout out to Zoe Hobbs, you're an absolute legend.
She's an absolute gun, isn't she? Like, excited to see her. But probably a good point you're touching on a little bit as well is that you gave a few things a go, and I'm sure that was probably really important when you were young. You know, you didn't just do athletics from until you're 5 until you're 17, bit of rugby, bit of soccer, and then found your way to the beautiful game, and now you're playing sevens.
It's the classic try before you buy.
It's key.
I tried rugby and so I bought it.
I feel like playing everything helps every single skill set. It's scary these days because some kids are wanting to specialise early, and you're like, just be a kid, go play free. Like we played everything. Touch and netball were mine, and if they were in the Olympics, that would have been my dream. But it's not. So I choose something else. But no, it's cool. Play everything.
But let's talk a little bit about sevens and 15s. But there's a couple of things you touched on that I want to ask you about. Is like particularly sevens, like at the highest level which you guys are at. Like it is brutal. Like we talked to the men's teams the other day, and like I'm not saying you can hide more in 15s. Maybe, you know, a good old weekend warrior can, but like in sevens, like there is nowhere to hide. Like it is all go. It is flat out. Like, and sort of your experiences, Minnie, like at those initial camps, you know, well-intentioned, what you know, whether it was good, bad, or ugly at the time, that is what happens, isn't it, on the weekend? And I can imagine that you guys mirror that out here. You know, like you've got 20-odd girls, and yep, you do the training, you do the running, great day. You girls can go out and join the team and do some running if you want, or you can just stay up here at the moment. Doesn't look that inviting, does it, just at the moment? But you must have some amazing sessions here against each other. You know, like I'd love to see, you know, Minnie versus Stace on the wing or something.
That's great. It's a great battle.
You know,
I don't know if you want to, but
But you know, or when Gossie's Theresa and Gossie through the middle, and this, you know, this would be good viewing. But I mean, you must work very, very hard when you're here at the Mount. Like there must be some good internal games.
It's tough, and honestly, I have hand on heart, sometimes it's way harder here against each other than it is on the World Series because of that competitive spirit. And we know how each other plays, so it's actually so much harder to try and score or do something different that you don't already know. We're here every single day of the week training against each other. It's so hard, but it's a personality thing too, eh? Like Teresa's only just found her switch to try and get into. She's obviously so strong and tough, but she's so nice. So getting out there trying to smack her sister is quite hard, to see, but she's getting there. She's getting there. Minnie on the other hand,
mean.
She's
no issues.
She don't care. She don't care.
No mercy.
No mercy.
No mercy there.
Especially when it's against you.
There's some good banter, obviously. Argue on the field, but sisters off it, and it only makes us stronger.
Healthy competition.
Very healthy.
We're actually a team of, well, not all of us, but a lot of us are sore losers.
All of us are sore losers. Some are just louder losers than
So no one likes to lose, and we're a pretty small squad. So there's only 20 of us. We're all really competitive. We all want to win, and so whether it's on the field or in the gym, these guys doing their jumping, or
sorry, maybe next time,
or their speed tests, their speed tests. No one likes to lose, and I think that's kind of what makes this environment so special, is that we are all competitors individually, and so coming together as a team, it just makes us grow even more out here on the field, and we all love each other too, so we try to do it with love.
Well, the reality is,
hurt each other with love.
Yeah, with love.
Yeah.
Only 12 people get picked, 13 per tournament, so you're literally fighting against your best friend, against your sister every day, but in a good way, because we know, you know, it's out of your control to be selected, but you just do you. Control what you can, be the best person you can. And
support your mate when you need to,
and
then help them grow and make it the best environment possible. Look, guys, I understand there's a couple of tournaments left on the series. We are first equal, something like that, point stiff, whatever it may be. But like, how are we tracking in the sense that fitness of the squad, like, you know, it was awesome to watch both teams get the W on the weekend. Like, are we building in this direction? You know, like you say, not everyone can go away for every tournament, but how are we going at the moment as we lead into the final 2 tournaments of the series?
Yeah, we're building. There's a bit of frustration, in the beginning of the season. Our pre-season was a bit different. Didn't do as much running as we usually do, so we had a bit of a slower start. But Dubai, Cape Town took a lot of growth, and Perth, learnings from that, and then obviously slowly building one LA, Vancouver, Hong Kong, but there's still so much more for us to do. Physically, I think we're in a good space. We still got time to reach our peak, but Olympics are not here yet, so there's time there. And I know there's good plans in place from coaches, from trainers, physios, for us to get there into that space, but at the moment, we're tracking well, we're all happy, we're feeling good, our bodies are feeling good, and we just can't wait until...
I imagine you can't stand still, because like there was probably, in previous seasons gone by, you know, the ability to scout each other maybe wasn't as prevalent as it is now, but I can imagine now that the top teams know each other inside out. Like you probably just have to keep growing and improving week in, week out. If you stand still for a second, you know, you'll be second, you'll be third, because... you know, every game's on TV, you're starting to know your opposition, and vice versa, and that opposition isn't just 1 or 2 teams now, but it's every team in the comp has got the potential to knock you over if you're having a bad day, I'd imagine. So the importance, it's got to be huge to keep improving. There's, is there, as we lead in, do you think what are the improvements? Like, I look at Sevens like as a lay, really, to be honest. You know, like I look at it and I love it, and it's hectic, it's all go. There's certain aspects of the game I probably understand somewhat, but what other things you need to improve? What are teams trying to do? Like when you play Aussie, what are they trying to do compared to what you do? Like, are we a more physical team? Are we a fast team? You know, like for people, because it's all over in a flash, eh? And by the time you sort of stand up, do a bit of shouting and a bit of yahooing, the game's almost done. So, you know, what other things that you guys are always trying to improve on?
So it's quite a hard question to answer, because every single team is completely different, and so every time we come up against, you know, like a classic example, the difference between playing against Aussie and USA was just insane.
In what way too? Like
well, USA being a classic country that's not necessarily rugby mad, it's still growing. So to me, USA are a team of athletes, whereas we're a team of rugby players, and same with Australia, they're a team of rugby players, and so the way that they play are completely different, and so what we have to do at home is be able to have the ability to adapt to every team on defence and attack, however they defend. So the skill set across the board is improving each tournament. You know, catch and pass is way better than what it was when we first started. Massive. You know, tackling even, like the tackles are far more brutal than what it used to be. Kickoffs, like I remember when some of our kickoffs, when I first debuted in 2014, I was 18, and the kickoffs of some teams were just not quite there, whereas nowadays they are pinpoint accurate. Just little things like that are starting to become a massive aspect of the game that we also need.
To 6'2" giants who can come in
absolutely.
And have a crack.
Yeah, absolutely. So no, we have to be able to adapt. Lucky us. We have to be able to adapt to everyone, and we have to be able to improve every skill set. And so when it comes to competing at the World Series, we're in a place where we're confident because we've trained hard at every part of the rugby game, from kickoffs, catch and pass, defence. So making sure that we're ahead of the game without actually knowing what everyone else is doing, because we're in our home country training all the time.
I think on top of that too, so there's all the physical side, but Sevens, like you said, is only 14 minutes, and so if you switch off for a minute of that, that could be 2-3 tries, to be honest. And so we do put a lot of practice and I guess put a lot of value on the mental side of Sevens. you're always going to be tired out there on the field. And if you're not, then you're probably not doing enough. And so just being able to practice all those skills and have that skill set when you're under fatigue and when the games are close, and to be able to adapt to whatever picture is in front of you, whether it's someone who wants to run straight at you or someone who's got a step or someone who's fast. And so we do put a lot of effort into developing the mental capacity of the game, and just trying to stay calm when you can't breathe on the field.
Well, it's huge, isn't it? Because so many games you watch and a team will be up by 2 scores with a minute to go or 90 seconds to go. And not all the time, but often that game, they win that game, you know, like can come from behind. Yellow cards are massive, you know, like you drop down to one player. Like, it's such a dynamic sport. I want to finish a little bit on, sorry, Minnie, because I know you're such a loyal Sevens person, but talk to... talk to Theresa.
Let's talk to the disloyal ones of the team.
Yeah. The last time I saw Theresa was a podcast before the Rugby World Cup. So came in also long ago now, and then I didn't talk to her, but I saw her at Omakurawa Park, you know, going around, I think showing off the trophy or something that it may be. But do you, because you girls are involved in so many things, like you're switching across campaigns, and even in Sevens, like it's, you know, Hong Kong's, it's over there somewhere now. No, it's on to the next one. But do you have time to stop and reflect and sort of, you know, look back and maybe watch a few highlights and, you know, think, geez, that was pretty cool? Because it was pretty cool. Like, it was, you know, it was one of the better rugby events we've ever had in this country, to be honest. Like, it was awesome. And you know, all the information that I get told is that it's inspired a bunch of people to sign up for rugby, not just young girls, but we're getting, you know, older girls who are signing up to starting their rugby journey at 25, 26, 27, and a lot of that will be because what they saw at that tournament. Like, do people bail you up and go, well, I decided to play rugby because I went along to, you know, the game at Eden Park, or I went to one of the games up in Whangarei or something, you know? Do you get many of those yarns?
Yeah, World Cup was definitely very special, and to have it at home, it exceeded my expectations. And so in the build-up, personally, I didn't think it was going to be that big. I didn't think that we had done enough to promote it at home, and I was happily, like, when we rocked up to the games up in Whangarei, the crowd and the atmosphere was unreal. Like, all the terraces were packed out with people, and so it was awesome for the team, it was awesome for the game, and just the way that tournament went, with the semi-finals and the finals and how the game played out, it was kind of like it was just meant to be. So
it really was, yeah.
It was very. I get a lot of comments that we gave people heart attacks, and so
massively.
Just try and play it down and be like, we knew that was going to happen. No, we did. Like,
it's all part of the plan.
It's all part of the plan.
Yeah, everything happens for a reason.
Everything happens for a reason. And then even having the likes of Ted and Smithy in the coaching team, it was pretty awesome. We taught them a few things. They weren't used to the noise and laughter and the dancing and singing that comes and the emotion that comes with women's rugby. And so I know that after the first game, they were like, I don't know if I can travel on the bus with them. It's just so, the music's so loud, and then in the changing room and they're laughing. Are they
ready?
Are they ready? Are they prepared to go? And I was like, it's just the way it is. Don't change it, otherwise.
Don't worry, old fellas, we got this.
Don't worry, it's gonna work out. And then we eventually got them dancing and singing. So, no, we had lots of fun. World Cup, it is something that does come back, and I do reflect on all the time. And just pretty awesome how it helped grow the women's sport, I guess, not just rugby. And we definitely got a different crowd coming to the games. And so one of the coolest comments that I have heard is that people who don't know rugby, have never been to a rugby game came to some of the Rugby World Cup games, and they said that they had the time of their lives, and so that was pretty special to open up the crowd, different people, different kids, and it was just lots of fun, and doing it at home too, and so yeah.
Well, that came through watching it, that you're on a journey, having a huge amount of fun, like ripping in, but enjoying yourselves along the way. Stace, anything that sort of, as you look back on it, that, or anything that anyone said to you?
Michaela was always very happy.
Sorry, Minnie, I'm sorry.
Don't go play 15.
Don't even get me started on 2022. Don't even get me started.
No, I don't think it's anything different. I think it was cool to see more family-orientated things happening around the stadium, and the poi was a big one. Obviously, being Māori, showcasing our culture on the world stage, and now there's random people all around the world who have got poi at rugby games just because we were able to portray that in our Women's World Cup. So yeah, a few different comments here and there wherever we go. Obviously the smiling assassin, everyone's just like, oh, what's it feel like walking off the field smiling? Obviously got injured and I hated it, but it is what it is, and I think the growth of the game has been massive.
Were you tired after 15 minutes, because you're used to playing for 14, did that take a wee while to become 15-a-side players? Like, you train very specifically for
it's very different.
Looking at the clock every 10 minutes. Craps a big
sub,
one.
It's half time. Still got 40 minutes to go.
Yeah, sometimes, but then it depends how the game plays out, right? When there's too many boring scrums and lineouts and you're having a rest out in the backs, that's dumb. Yeah. But when it's a running game, like the game plan we had, it was so much better. It was fun, it was exciting, and we just loved being a part of it.
Yeah. All right, girls, I'll let you go. I know you're desperate to get outside and do some running.
Oh, so desperate.
Can't wait. Like how keen you are to join the other girls on this beautiful day in Mount Maunganui. It's absolutely horrid out there. You might pull the experience card and maybe just do some stretching or something. Or, I can see you've been struggling with that actually. Yeah. So, but no, thank you so much for coming in. Really appreciate it. Good luck for the last 2 tournaments of the series. You're tied with Aussie, or ahead on points differential. So hopefully a couple of really good tournaments to finish that off and keep building the momentum to the big show in Paris. So thank you, girls. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
The All Blacks podcast is powered by our official cloud software partner, SAP, helping our teams in black be the best run in sports. Hosted by Rob Dunn in the Hargrave Street studio. Produced by Carl Thompson from Blue and Ginge, the podcast producers. Video editing by Mac Leesburg, graphics by Western Design, content advising from Andy Burt, and commercial manager for the podcast is Valeska Hoth. Follow the All Blacks podcast on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, and anywhere you get your podcasts.